Black Power family. Next up, we have a really powerful brother who's going to take the stage by the name of DivineProspect. DivineProspect is an ardent activist, a premier scholar, and a prolific speaker. He's also a naturopath. He's a teacher and founder of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, where he teaches our people about their rightful place as the people of God, the real Israelites. Y'all give it up for our brother, DivineProspect.
Okay, I guess I could take my mask off because there's nobody near me. So this is more than 6 feet distance. But I want to say, peace everybody, how y'all doing? How's everybody doing? Come on, give yourselves a round of applause. Y'all made it through. Look at this. So many beautiful black people right here in this building in the midst of a pandemic. When you talk to black people, and you tell black people, here's an opportunity for you to network, to vent, to listen to some instrumental speakers, to kind of galvanize the spirit of our people and raise up the spirit of our ancestors to respond no matter what comes our way. This is why we are still alive today. We live behind enemy lines, and we've survived for hundreds of years because all of y'all are an inheritance of what? Strong genes of ancestors that came before you. They did what was necessary so you could be here today. So we have to do them an honor by speaking against and acting against anything that is adverse to our community, even if the first stage is coming together to have a discussion. Yes? Okay, y'all tired? You okay? I know we started a little late, because that's how black people get down, but we here today, and I got to turn it up for the rest of the speakers, man, because they really going to give y'all a great discussion. So what I'm here to talk about right now is, how many of y'all have been involved in any protests recently? Raise your hand. You been in a protest? Why are y'all protesting? Oh, look at that. They got quiet. Say what? To end white supremacy? Okay. Somebody else? Teach about what? Voting? Wait, hold on. Don't take my speech, brother. I'll just play with you. Anybody else? Why are you protesting? Somebody says because we're angry. What'd you say? Against police violence. So the initial advent that's going on right now in regards to why the protesting is taking place is because foundational black Americans is fed up. Right? But how many years we've been fed up? Tell me, since they brought us over here against our own free will, how many years have we been fed up? Raise your hand. Tell me. Throw a number out there. So you've been fed up for hundreds of years, and you're still doing the same thing that we did in the 60s, that we did in Reconstruction. Where's the end game? What is the end game for our community? Somebody tell me what the end game is. You said what? Self-sufficient. Why are y'all looking at my notes? I'm going to get there. Anybody else? Economic power. Okay, we're not going to take away from the great Boyd Watkins. I'm going to let him talk on that. Anybody else? Give them the same energy they give us. I need you on my security team, my brother. All right, so let me go over a few things with y'all real quick, and then I'm going to hand over the mic because I'm just opening up the door for the other speakers that's coming in. But one thing I want to say is that because of a lot of recent protests, it's against police brutality. So what is police brutality properly defined? All right, if you go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, I grabbed the definition because I think it's suitable for what I'm going to share with y'all real quick. Police brutality is the unwarranted or excessive and often illegal use of force against civilians by U.S. police officers. Forms of police brutality have ranged from assault and battery, beatings, to mayhem, torture, and murder. Sounds like what was happened to us when we was in slavery. Okay, maybe I didn't say that. I'll give you a chance to think about it. Some broader definitions of police brutality also encompasses harassment, such as false arrest, intimidation, verbal abuse, and other forms of mistreatment. So how many of y'all know about the slave catchers during slave time? Raise your hand. Slave catchers, all right. So then after the Emancipation Proclamation, what do you think their job was after that? What was that? Did you know that that was a lucrative business back in the day? Did you know that? And sometimes they didn't even find the right slave. They just grabbed anybody up, even a free black man, and brought him right back. How many of y'all said 12 years a slave? Y'all seen that? That was going on commonly. So do you think they just say, okay, well, slavery's over, so let me go find a day job? That was their day job. So you had to incorporate that system into the state system. And then what started to happen was you started to create new laws. How many of you know about the Vagrancy Act? Raise your hand. How many of you know about black codes? Raise your hand. How many of you know about the convict leasing program? Raise your hand. All of these things was done to empower the ex-slave catchers to be part of the executive branch of local municipalities in the South. Did you know that? This is a heritage. This is nothing new that's going on. Y'all are aware of that, right? How many of y'all native to Georgia? Raise your hand. Wow, that means everybody else flew in from somewhere else? Give yourself another round of a hand. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. So with that being said, if the response to police brutality is to protest, what is the definition of a protest? A protest is an expression or declaration of objection, disapproval, or dissent, often in opposition to something a person is powerless to prevent or avoid. What's the key word there that I said? Everybody's on the same page. Powerlessness. That is why y'all protest. If you have power, you negotiate with leverage. It's different. It's different. So how come, when we look at these protests, how come I don't see a whole bunch of Jews going out in the street protesting? How come I don't see a whole bunch of East Indians going out in the street protesting? And Arabs? And Asians? How come they're not out in the street protesting like we are? They got, wait, say that again. They got a form of power that they can use as leverage. Where's our power? You only protest from a position of powerlessness. I'll give you an example of history that really doesn't relate to a lot of us black people in here because, you know, during the Revolutionary War, we were still picking cotton. But anyway, so what do you think the colonies did? They were powerless against the British government, right? But when a lot of injustices started to happen to them, they had to respond, but they did so through organized protest. Think about this, organized protest. So we were sitting here fighting for civil rights way back in the 50s and 60s, and we were trying to get the right to vote. But you cannot ask for equality without equity. Do you know what equity is? So let me give you an example, right? So let's say we're about to start a race. I'm a black person, it's a white person, it's an East Indian person. We're about to start a race, right? Watch this. We got 10 laps to go. They go, boom, go. And they say, wait, stay right here. What you mean stay right here? Wait, let them go a little lap or two. You're like, so I'm waiting. It's like, all right, hold on. We want to put something on your ankles real quick. Put a couple of shackles on your ankles. All right, just stay right there. I'm like, what's going on? Wait. We want to put some weights on your back. All right, good. All right, so when they come around this next lap, then you can go. And they're going to say, look, from the outside, somebody just coming in and watching the race, oh, look, they're starting off at the same line. But they're not looking at all these other weights and burdens they place upon us. So until you remove those things, you cannot be equal. Equity puts you in a position where you have the same amount of resources, authority, power, and control. And control, so that way, once the race starts, we're going to really see who's the true victor. And that's their fear. They know that everybody in here, if they gave us just the amount of equity that every other community has, we will win that race. and we would be in control. That's the greatest fear. All right? So I'm almost done. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm almost done. So you're going to ask me, well, brother, what is the solution then? So if the problem that we have this time around is with police brutality, I'm going to tell you what happened. America, especially the South, has some ghosts that have not been extinguished. The ghosts of racism, white supremacy, right? Fear. You can't just beat people down for hundreds of years and just expect that nothing's going to happen. There's not going to be no bill that you got to pay. But what happens is over time, you had these ghosts that's popping up. We had all these people before 2020 who were killed in modern day society, and we never had anything like this. Do you know why the game changed? The game changed this year because of the mask that you're wearing. COVID-19. Man, what you talking about, brother? COVID-19. You know what happened with COVID-19? You were locked in your homes. You couldn't go to the bar, couldn't go to the concert, couldn't go to the football game, couldn't even go to work. All the normal distractions were removed from black people. Did y'all know that? Y'all thinking about like, wow, you know what? That's true. So now you're stuck in front of your TV, and even if you didn't want to, when you saw the death of Ahmaud Arbery out here in Atlanta, Breonna Taylor, right? Breonna Taylor was a little bit prior. And then who's the latest person that popped everything off in Minneapolis? George Floyd. Now all black people was forced to watch the TV day in and day out and say, damn, that's still happening? Because typically at this time, I'll be at the bar. Typically at this time, I'll be at the club. I'll be watching a football game. When all the distractions are removed and you're faced to confront the ghosts of the past of this society, now you're compelled to act. So now the solidarity factor came in, and people started organizing protests all over the US. So much so, we became influential globally with this power that we're starting to get traction. But guess what? As soon as they alleviate COVID-19, get right back to your entertainment, and that's it. So what do we do as the next step after the protest is over to stay in that position of power? It's one word. One word. Somebody give me one word. Anybody. Focus, organize. Okay, what else? Resource reparations, unite. Okay, all right. I'm not going to get into those type of politics today, but the one answer is autonomy. Autonomy. What does autonomy mean? Anybody? To right to choose. Okay, what else? Self-governance. You see, when the so-called constitution of this great nation was established, one of the major functions of government was to promote the general welfare. But after we were released, you know what happened? We started asking them to provide the general welfare. We became too dependent on a system that is designed to oppress us because we are a reminder of the crimes and sins that they've committed before we got here today. So now we're in a situation where we are at a disadvantage and we're trying to act an oppressive system to put us in a place of equity when this country was not built with us in mind. So the best that we can do is try to find a means of autonomy like every other ethnic group has when they come to this country and set up shop. Nobody can ever tell you that black people don't have any money. If that's the case, why do we have a corner store, deli, and Arabs in a corner store? I'm originally from New York, right? Right around the corner from me was this deli that I used to go to all the time. It was run by an Arab guy. I was cool with him. This is when I was younger, before consciousness, right? And he said something that was really startling to me. He said, your parents, because at that time I was trying to go to college, he said, yo, your parents are struggling paying for you to go to college? He said, you know, I put 3 of my kids in college just by running this deli shop. You put 3 kids through college? He said, yeah. He said, don't let nobody tell you that black people don't have money and when they have the money, they won't spend it. The dollar circulates 6 hours. Now they brought it down to 4 to 6 hours in the black community, and it goes out. Other ethnic groups know this. That's why as soon as you get that check, they open up the door, give you a discount, something else, so they can come in and take your funds. Think about this. We spend $1.4 trillion annually on things that have nothing to do with necessity. Do you know how incredible that is? Imagine if you took that wealth and did something with it. But here's the key. What good is having economics if you don't control the politics? Think about that. If I go buy land in a county out here, guess what? I got to abide by the ordinances. I got to abide by the statutes. I got to abide by everything else that they're telling me. Okay. So I'm going to wrap it up. Everything else they're telling me. The problem is this. If you do not control the politics, you're subject to the policy. So whatever policy is attached to that land, you're subject to it. Are you aware of that? So we have to put ourselves in a position of power where we control the governance of our communities, sourced from people that live in the community. And I'm going to leave you with these few things, and then I got to go. How many of y'all have ever heard of the Dillon Rule? Raise your hand. Dillon Rule of states. Okay. How many of y'all heard of the Home Rule? Raise your hand. Interesting. So what I'm going to leave you off with this. Here in the state of Georgia, you have the Dillon Rule and the Home Rule. The Dillon Rule is the powers that states have in order to have their hand or reach into local communities, right? What the Home Rule does is that it tells the state to allow any form municipality to have its own form of self-governance. And this is something that black people did. So out here in Atlanta, South Fulton and Stonecrest,
Brother
predominantly...
Wrapping up, brother.
Okay, I'm done. Okay, they have a form of autonomy where most of the populace in there is African Americans and black people. They decided that upon learning what the Home Rule is and seeing all the other ethnic groups function, they decided to start their own autonomous communities where they're in a position of power, and with that leverage, you can limit the amount of protesting done because you have an advantage. And with that, I want to say peace and shalom. Thank you, family.
Thank you so much. Can you put that back on the podium? Let's give it up for our brother. Thank you. Jules dropped, scholar, activist, DivineProspect. Make sure y'all follow him. Thank you so much.